What's good, family? It's your boy Reckless Ray Dinero, and we're back at it again with another episode of Future Financial Strategies. Today, we're having a big conversation that's going to carry over into tonight's conversation. But before we get to that, I've got some thank youing to do because this is a special episode, obviously. It is the We Have Broken 100 Subs episode. 100 subs and climbing, which is crazy because, like, as we're going through this, we are adding people. So the, from the portfolio update episode to this episode, we've actually got another person on the list of shoutouts. So, big shoutouts to the homie KC Mo. Thank you, brother. Big shoutouts to the homie Mario Vasquez. Thank you, brother. Super duper big shoutouts to the homie Big Bad Bull. Big supporter of the movement. Big supporter of the channel. Big supporter of me. Definitely an accountability partner. Also now a subscriber. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Big shout out to the newest member of the tribe, the pack, the family, the dullest, which is KC Mo's kid. Big shout outs to you. I hope you find some value in the videos. Definitely drop me comments and I will get back to you because I'll be chopping up with everybody in the comments. So we're jumping into it. The topic of this video, which is probably going to be a two-parter because I'm just going to go over the baseline of it today. But it's an important one. And it's an important conversation that I believe is pivotal to the success or failure of any individual that's looking to get to the bag and prove themselves in any facet, period. It's your pack, your tribe, your circle, your family, if you would. So I'm a firm believer that you get to choose family. I understand that there's some people that you're born with, but I'm an advocate of cutting out the cancer. So, on today's episode, we're going to go over the importance of your pack. I've got a couple of things that are going on in the markets today, some financial stuff, obviously, that we're going to go over as well. But, like, before we get into that, we're going to go over this because it is equally as important when you're building out your financial strategy. Because this is pivotal as far as future financial strategies are concerned. Because there are no lone wolves that are successful. None of the super wealthy people that we see. You get one person who's the figurehead, but there's usually a team of people. There's a group of people. It's not just one guy. It's not just one person. Which brings me to the screen that you're now looking at, which is a Google search for the hunting success rate of lions. Because everybody wants to be a lion. Rawr! Big bad lion in the house. Right? Lions are portrayed as powerful. They're portrayed as masculine. But what we should be portraying them as is unsuccessful. Lions hunting in pairs and groups have a success rate of 30%. That's garbage. Just so we know, if you're out here and you want to be the strong lion, best of luck to you. Lions hunting singly by daylight have a success rate of 17 to 19%. Lions are not that successful at hunting. I don't know that I want to be a self-proclaimed lion. I don't know. 17% success rate, lions are starving most of the time. Like they one missed kill away from dying, starving to death and getting eaten by something else. That's why they are they are desperate. I guess if you're trying to go from the aspect of you out here in these streets hungry, then I guess you might want to be a lion. But with a 17 to 30% success rate, depending. And even lions hunting in groups aren't successful. That is terrible. That's super sad. That, like, hunting in a group, lions are still not that successful. It it begs to question why how did they even get the name the King of the Jungle if they're that bad at hunting? Are they the King of the Jungle? They're the King of the Jungle. They can't catch you most of the time. Most of the time, you can get away from a lion with these levels of success rates. That means that, like, you almost have to be unlucky to get caught by a lion. You got to be marginally bad. Actually, not even marginally. Markedly bad at escaping to get caught by 2 or more lions. I'm starting to not be afraid of lions as I speak on this. This is wild. But we got people out here calling everybody young lions. That should be taken as an insult. That means you suck. More often than not, you fail at your mission. More often than not, even when trying to work with others, you fail at your mission. I'm about to start informing people that calling people lions or calling people young lions is not something to be proud of. That's borderline an insult. I'm going to start calling some of these old cats out here that are giving bad advice old lions. Better yet, I'm just going to call them lions because across the board, they are missing the mark and failing at the mission. And that is not what we're trying to do over here in this specific pack. Now, I'm going to tell you how we about to start moving. And it actually kind of makes me wonder if it's reverse marketing that they want men to idolize being the lion and failing at the mission. But over here, moving forward, I'll tell you what we moving like. We moving like some dogs. We moving like some African wild dogs over here. African wild dogs have a success rate of 80%, which means most of the time when they set their sights to take down their prey, they get it. When they move in lockstep and set their sights on getting that food, getting to that bag, not only do they take down that prey, everybody eats. With a success rate of 80%, you know who's not starving? Them wild dogs. Wild dogs hunt in packs. They're focused on teamwork. They complete the assignment. They succeed at the mission. We about to have to start roaming like some dogs around here, folks. That's what we're doing over here in this camp. We'll let the lions go out there and starve to death. That's fine. That's fine. They can get their 17 to 30%. We're looking at 80% success rates over here. We're looking at most of the time when the money comes in and our mission is to multiply those dollars. We're looking at 80% accomplishing that mission. You might mess up sometimes. We'll give that the 20. But we ain't out here like lions where it's 70% of the time you missing the mark. If you're missing the mark 70% of the time out here roaming as a lion, man, in the state that we're in, you miss the mark 70% of the time, you homeless. You about homeless. You're living check to check. You're stressed out. You're sitting there having to explain to people that money isn't everything because you don't have any. You're sitting here missing the mark 17 to 30% of the time talking about you a lion, you a alpha male. But money doesn't make you happy because you don't have any. This tribe over here, if you tapped in, I highly suggest you start navigating like a dog. 80% of the time, we are hitting the mark. 80% of the time, we are not fumbling the bag. 80% of the time, we are striving towards our goals and accomplishing them. We are taking down that prey 80% of the time. We're not out here failing, posturing as an alpha. We're not pretending to be the king of the jungle. We are the kings of the savannah. 80% of the time, we succeed. This brings me to the importance of the pack, your circle, your family, the people you keep around you. Now, this isn't going to be some, drop your broke friends. I'm not going to tell you that. But I'm going to tell you this. If every time you are coming up with a suggestion for something new that you're going to get into, or you're setting your goals, if you've got somebody yapping in your ear about how it's not possible or how you shouldn't do that, they might be a lion. But we dogs. They're hitting the mark 17 to 30% of the time. We're trying to hit it 80. You might need to spend less time with them. Everyone knows I'm an advocate of just cutting people off at this point. I'm getting up there in age. I don't have time for it. I'm busy. So me personally, I am an advocate of cutting people off. But one thing that anyone will tell you is, even if they don't talk to me for a long time, I hold that same space and I got the same energy that I did the last time that I saw them. So I'm not kicking people out. I'm just not placing my resources on people that are not moving forward because they slow me down. And if I'm out here running around like a wild dog, I got to be getting to it 80% of the time with my pack. I don't have time to be out here missing the mark 17 to 30% of the time trying to be a lion. I'm not built for that. And I don't think that you should be built for that either. So you got some decisions that you have to make if you find people that are constantly dragging you back or constantly not motivated. If your friend circle is consistent of the people that you just go to the club with and fumble the bag, you might want to make new friends. Because I'll tell you this, as somebody who loves going to the club and fumbling the bag, none of the people that I used to go to the club with and fumble the bag with are involved in any level of business that I'm in now. They're not in any of the circles that I'm in now. They're not in any of the rooms I'm in now. And some of them are still at the club pretending like they're doing something. But I don't ever see them because I've surrounded myself with a bunch of dogs. Very wealthy dogs. And we're not seeing the people that are out there pretending, because when you're actually getting it, you don't have to pretend. Your circle should consist of people that are driven, that have the same or similar value sets to yourself. Actually, they don't even have to have the same value set. Well, it depends. As long as they're not hurting themselves, as long as they're not encouraging you to hurt yourself or others. The values can be different because most men aren't a monolith. People are not a monolith. People run their households. The inner working of their households are different. It's different down to the individual when it's said and done. But the commonality there should be a drive for improvement and a consistent march forward. They should be people that when you have an idea, they're giving you constructive feedback, not just that'll never work. When they see you going into a venture or going into a new field or getting ready to make a monetary move, and they have some insight into how they can help you to improve or maximize what your win will be, they give that to you. They are people who add value to your life versus take value from it. They are people who, when you interact with them, you are having fun, but it's not just, oh yeah, we just go and laugh together and we don't have any serious conversations. If all your circle is talking about is sports, what Rihanna had on, modern women, alpha, if they're not talking about anything serious, if they're not talking about getting to the bag, how to improve themselves as people, what's coming up in these financial tumultuous times, and how you guys are game planning to get through to the other side of this in a better spot than when you started, You might be in the wrong circle. You might be sitting at the wrong table, because the way that I look at it, that's the kids' table. If that's the only topics that they want to talk about is sports and what the headlines are and what are we outraged about, that's that's kid table conversation. Those are people that get run over. They're going to constantly be complaining. They're always going to be broke or just above broke. They're always going to be talking about what they have, not what they own. They're never going to be builders. They're always going to be employees, generally low to mid-level. They're not progressing forward. If you talk to them a year from now, they're still not going to be able to tell you what their net worth is, but they'll be able to tell you how much they got on their check that's probably gone. They're probably doing the same stuff that they were doing when they were 25, when they were 21, when they were 19, when they were 18. All their best stories are from when they were in high school. They've accomplished nothing notable since then. They've done nothing notable since then. They've gone nowhere since then. They're still on the same block. But you're supposed to be doing better. So we're converting over to dogs. We all going wild dog on them now. So you're going to have to make those decisions and move yourself into circles where there are people with a similar mindset to your own, a similar goal to your own, a similar drive to move forward, because this isn't for everyone. But for those of you who it's for, it's going to resonate and it's going to hit. And for those of you who it's not for, when the time comes, if you finally decide to step out of those shadows, if you finally decide to start reaching for what you're capable of, then I'm uploading this. This is going to be here for you then. Until then, you know what? Wait for the next week's video or whatever. But just understand the time that we're on over here, because we're on a different time than some of these other people. Average is not good enough. The bare minimum is not good enough around here. Now, let's get into the meat of this conversation. So we're talking about this real estate crisis that could or could not be happening. There's two camps of people that that are weighing in on this heavy. There's a group of people that say that like imminent doom's coming, the sky is going to fall, and there is a camp of people who are of the mindset that everything's going to be fine and the prices have dropped down to the lowest that they'll get, and we're probably not going to see any lower, and we're just going to ride through this, and then it's going to be off to the races, and this is the dip. Now, me personally, as somebody who looks at things from an investment business mindset, I'm about getting to the bag. My first property that I'm currently in, I have house hacked it, so I'm sitting in a pretty decent position. I have started allocating funds for the next property, looking to get my second property. Going to be more expensive than this property, but I'm sitting on a little bit of equity if I need to tap it. I'm trying not to, but should I need to, I'm sitting on some equity there. I would either have to Airbnb or full on rent this place at that point. And so there's a couple of contingencies there, because I've got one of my roommates is currently out in California on a job mission. Shout out to Chuck. Getting to the bag, 80% killing it. The dude's a hunter, but he's got some options now because there's business opportunity out there for him, and he might want to go pursue that. So, in which case, I would have to find a renter or get this place set up to do Airbnb. Either or I could sell it. So I got a couple of different options, because I have enough equity in here to where I would be skipping a whole house level of what I'm looking at, because here locally there aren't many there I would say, in all honesty, there are no starter homes anywhere that you would want to live. So like it's already a tier past a starter home, but like now it's in the point where it's like, do I want to get that home where I'm gonna flex and be able to entertain people, or do I want to, or do I want to get just a normal house? Now the flex home I could easily get into if I sold this home. And then I'm in like kind of a, you know, something nice to write home about. Now, a normal house in a really great area is also something to write home about. Like where I'm this next move, the next property that I acquire is breaking a whole generational curse. Hands down. Like it's going to be the best neighborhood that anyone in my immediate family has ever lived in, regardless of which option of these two I take. The question is, how much of that curse am I going to kick in the face? It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of like, oh, this is so far removed from like where we came from that it's a different environment. I'm excited about it. It's going to be out in in the area. I'll be closer to some of the people in my pack. In an area where the tax bracket is of a little bit more affluence. Gonna be punching up a little bit. But because of the moves that I made, I'll be able to comfortably get in there and it'll be something that I can sustain. I'm just not avid, even though this is my first property and like I did do a good job with my selection. I've done a throughout this whole pandemic thing. It's worked out very well in my favor, but it also I don't, if I don't have to, I do not want to sell this property at minimum until after they finish setting up the stadium for the World Cup. Like, because then the property value for where I am is going to go through the roof. So I'm trying to not run out of this property fully until I've secured the maximum amount of bag. Put it that way. But with that said, am I worried about the price drop or what's going on with the real estate market? For me personally, it's a math equation. So if I can afford to make the move, we're making the move. If I can't afford to make the move, then we're going to hold. And in all honesty, one of my planned strategies is holding this property and not making the move until a little bit later and continuing to stack money for that. So I could see both sides of this, but as far as timing the market, none of my investment strategies involve timing anything. I'm very much a dollar cost average person, and if the math works. So for me personally, most of the plays that I'm doing in real estate, at least early on, since I don't have a kid, um, are going to be based around house hacking. So when you're house hacking, it's basically working this out to where you break even on the property. So as long as I can break even on the property and then the payment amount is something that I can manage, it's a go for me. And that's the way that I always look at it. Like I don't wait for anything. Like I'm not waiting for somebody to tell me when I can make a move. The reason I bought this property, I didn't look at the market at all. The reason I bought a property was because the building that I was renting from with my roommate was got purchased and they were getting ready to do a rehab and they were going to start jacking the rent up. And as soon as I saw that they were going to jack the rent up, I decided I did not want to pay any higher than what I was paying. So I went out and found a house and bought a house because I was like, I don't want to pay more. My roommate doesn't want to pay more. I'm in a position to where my credit's good. Actually, it's not just good, it's great. And I can afford to acquire a property. I already have somebody to live with me, so hence the house hacking. I can set this up to where, he's paying under what the market is, well under, and I'm able to substantiate this property with nothing out of my pocket. Not only that, my overall expenses went down. So, like, actually, it freed up a little bit more income for investing. And that's what I've been doing since I purchased this place. Um, so for me, and like everybody when I bought was like, oh, you shouldn't buy right now. Like, this is a terrible time to buy because we don't know what's going on with the market. We don't know what's going on with people's jobs. And doom and gloom. And that's when I bought. So here we are again. There's doom and gloom. For me, when people are, I'm moving counter the crowd is always a plus in my opinion. Like when people are running away, I'm trying to run in. And when people are running in, that's when I'm looking at like, oh, it's time to make some moves. Might be needing to get out of here. But this has been one of those things where I learned a lot buying this first place. Namely, that if the math works, the math works. If the math doesn't work, regardless of what the deal is, it doesn't work. Now we're going to get, so that's for me personally, one of my future financial strategies, since they're trying to not have anyone own anything. Obviously, for me, real estate still falls in there. It's a tried and true. But the reason that this falls under a future financial strategy is because all the gurus are telling you not to buy. They're pricing first time buyers out of the market. People are grouping up to rent anyway. If you have the ability to purchase a property and you have roommates, you can house hack it, which is you have your roommates live with you and continue paying rent as they were. It's just the money goes to you, which then goes to the mortgage. So you can accelerate the paying off of the property, or you can control the property and free up those funds for what you would have had to pay for rent to invest or do whatever you need to do to maximize those gains. The reason I say it's a future financial strategy and it's part of my future financial strategy model is they're setting it up so that people are not going to be able to afford to get into the real estate market. So being in the real estate market before they price everyone out means that you'll still be able to navigate within said market because you'll already be in it and you'll have a piece of property that is now super expensive, and hopefully you'll be sitting on some equity, and then you can navigate that to make some additional financial moves. Moving on to the next story. Gold bulls run faster as the Fed tackles banking crisis. Now, we're not going to jump into we can just go to the key takeaways for this. This is for my gold bugs. Gold and precious metals are not on in my personal arsenal for investing or saving or however you want to look at it. Not in there. It's bulky. I can't move it. It's too tactile and stagnant for me, and if there's a situation where I actually need gold or silver, normally somebody's collecting that in a very illegal fashion because things have collapsed. So not on mine, but it is interesting when I'm looking at it and I'm looking at the market and how things are working out. So I just want to read you guys these key takeaways here. Before moving on and have a little chat about it. So gold prices surged in March when banking stress emerged in the wake of aggressive rate hikes by the U.S. Federal Reserve, which they're probably going to have a couple more coming, I think. It sounds like they're wishy-washy about it, but the more they jack those rates up, the worse things get for everybody, which would be the thing that would tip the pendulum on the real estate market to where maybe home prices come down. The US dollar index declined as the Fed reopened USD central bank swap lines. Higher volatility and reduced liquidity in the US Treasury market flashed warning signs reminiscent of the global financial crisis, although these have abated somewhat. Somewhat, which is good. Because, like, I mean, as beneficial as the chaos of a collapse would be, the collateral being human collateral and life experiences and, markets going bedlam and people not being positioned for it would be catastrophic and terrible. And at least this gives you guys some time to shore up your ship, plug all the holes you have, and figure out what you're doing moving forward. The Fed faces a difficult choice: prioritize its inflation prioritize its inflation flight, or prevent financial stress. The Fed's pretty much spoken on this already. They want about 2.5 million people out of a job to help with their inflation issues. And they said they'll keep, basically, that they were intending on keeping raising rates until they got what they wanted. So I don't think that they're going to try to prevent financial stress for the American public. What might incentivize them further to stop is the global stress that they've already started, that people are just saying they can't take it anymore. So they could fix their inflation problem at the expense of furthering countries moving away from the dollar and weakening the American dollar as a reserve currency. They could do that. But as far as like what them caring about the public, like the American people, the citizenry, the people who are affected by this first, not primarily, because every other country, the stuff that we get, they get it worse. But they've already stated that they do not care about the public. Like they're not coming to save us. They have a number that they want to hit, and that's just what they want to do, and they don't care about the collateral or what happens to people in between here and there. Now, getting to one of my financial strategies, Bitcoin mints $100 billion rally as banking crisis and these lesser known tailwinds fuel the latest rally. The top line, key metric here in this article, and this is Forbes digital assets section, legitimate source. Bitcoin has surged in recent weeks as many lost faith in the US banking system, as I did 10 years ago, serving as vindication of cryptocurrency zealots' long-held beliefs. I'm a cryptocurrency zealot, according to JP Morgan. But the bank's analysts note a few other factors have helped surge the largest crypto token soar to a 6-month high and could help keep the rally going. Let's see about the key facts here. Bitcoin is up 25% over the last month to about 28,000. Now, as of today, we touched 29,000, which is awesome, reflecting about 106 billion in added market value and performing much better than the tech-heavy NASDAQ 3% decline over the period. Finally, we are inversely correlated with not necessarily fully inversely, but like Bitcoin was never meant to be tracked alongside stocks. It was not made to be a stock. Institutional money came in and they trade it like a stock, which is super annoying, not super efficient, and not what it was made for. But I digress. The surge came while Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, and Silvergate Capital each went under. Events which crypto supporters believed exposed the weakness of the traditional financial system. It exposed the fact that the government is going to go after these regional and small banks to shut them down, to consolidate them into larger banks, which is a weakness of the traditional financial system. The JP Morgan group, led by Nicholas, I don't even know how to say that. I'm just going to highlight it. It starts with a P. We're going to say Nicholas P. for short, wrote on Wednesday evening, on his Wednesday evening note to clients. Bitcoin rallied as a hedge to a catastrophic scenario, as it should. Just saying. Amid tumult in the global financial system, P added, pointing to gold's similar rally over the last month as a safe haven asset. Now see, Bitcoin and gold being slightly correlated, I can deal with. Safe haven assets can run together. The old bull and the new bull. I dig it. Strong sentiment is not the only thing behind Bitcoin's spring bounce, as JP Morgan identified a few other more technical aspects driving the gains. Let's see what JP Morgan got to say here. January's launch of Bitcoin ordinals, which for those of you who aren't in the know, Bitcoin ordinals are basically NFTs on the Bitcoin chain itself, which are etched into the blockchain. So you can put pictures, notes, messages, whatever. Anyways, back to the article, which essentially allow for non-fungible tokens to be minted on Bitcoin's blockchain, adds value to Bitcoin as it elevates the Bitcoin network utility to that of other blockchains. Disagree. Countries are adopting Bitcoin. Governments are adopting Bitcoin. Jurisdictions are adopting Bitcoin. I do not think NFTs on Bitcoin are really that big of a deal because they're not being utilized like that in comparison to any other blockchain. Solana has more NFT usage than the NFTs on Bitcoin since they've been released. Ethereum, home of NFTs, way more usage. People are not leaving those spaces to go move their projects over to Bitcoin because there's really no need to. It's like it'd be like if you had a PlayStation 5 and you were like, "Yeah, we're going to go put these games on a Nintendo 64." It just doesn't make sense. Also, not necessarily the greatest application for them. It's not the greatest use case. Bitcoin is slower. It just doesn't, like, to say that that's the reason for the rally is disingenuous at best, and it's moving the attention away from the reality of the situation, which is the banking system is set up and not set up for us, and people are catching wind of it and moving their assets into safer things such as gold and Bitcoin. Just what it is. People are moving away from the dollar. Also what it is. And according to P, what's likely more important to Bitcoin's rally than the bank crisis or bullishness on ordinals is the shifting attention to the digital assets upcoming halving next spring. This is facts, which makes marginal Bitcoin mining cost twice as expensive. Bitcoin rallied as much as 30% in the 6 months following its prior halving event in 2016 and 2020. These are all facts. Super fat. Like, the end of it was facts. The ordinals thing was just like kind of an add-in for additional wordage on their article, I think, because, like, while it was cool, it is cool news. It is neat that it can do it. The ordinals are not important. Halving is coming up. We do start moving about a year in advance, and then there's a blow-off top over the year after the halving. And we are in the year in advance. So this makes sense. Obviously, there's no straight lines up. There's definitely a straight line down after the blow off top for Bitcoin. But the start of that bull run, it's not a straight line up. There's a lot of price volatility. There's a lot of stuff that goes on during that year prior, which is why I'm over on the portfolio updates. I redid my portfolio and started it from scratch to show you guys a portfolio navigating through a bull run, which is going to be interesting. Like, I start my portfolio over every year, but this year specifically, since I'm documenting that journey, will be really interesting because you'll get to see a portfolio that gets built out, runs through a bull run, and how we navigate those things. And we're going to have a bunch of fun, a bunch of craziness going on. So if you're not tapped into that video stream, you should be. This is all I've got for you guys. But we will be talking tonight on Guns and Butter, which will be broadcast over on I Seen Your Little Podcast Network, which runs 24 hours. It will also be simulcasted over here for you, for your convenience. So make sure you tap in because we're going to go deep on PAX. We're gonna have a good conversation about that tonight. So make sure to tap in. Also, for those of you looking for ways to support the network, join the pack, support the movement. As obvious, now that we've broken 100, I am dialing in. You got my attention, people. So the next target is 250 subs. So now we're on the track to 250, which means that in order for us to get to 250, people have to know that we exist and we are over here. We've already got a solid group of day ones. But in order to be the wild dog pack that we need to be, we need more people. We've got to get up to where there's a big enough network to where when we're hitting this 80% rate of success when it comes to getting the bags, we can't just have my ideas. It's got to be a pack of us with our eyes on looking at every opportunity. So that way we can go, hey, over there. Next thing you know, the pack's on it. Next thing you know, we running it down. The next thing you know, everybody's eating. So our next target is 250. We are obviously on the road to 1,000, but I enjoy small victories. And 250 is going to be the next metric on the way for me. So we need to which helps the algorithm. Even if you hate the video, dislike also helps the algorithm. So if you guys want to hate like me, that works too. Subscribe, obviously. If you're finding this channel and you're new to the channel, drop a subscribe. I drop content. I get at least 2 videos a week. Now that we've hit 100, there's going to be more additional content. There's going to be community posts. There's going to be me having fun, some behind the scenes information, a couple of the other avenues that will be covered on this channel that will be starting to trickle in as we hit these metrics. But definitely subscribe. It's worth sticking around. I also have lives, so there's random lives. I always post when I'm live on a panel, so that way you can follow me over there to hear what I'm talking about, how crazy I'm getting. Share the videos. We don't want to grow this. Well, we don't want to get rich by ourselves. We also want to grow the pack. So the more people that see this, the more people will come over here and rock out with us. So share, subscribe. If you want to reach out to me, you have questions, comments, feedback, any of that fun stuff, you can email me at recklessraydinero@gmail.com. One more time, recklessraydinero@gmail.com. Also, if you check the description, you will see that email so that you can copy and paste it. Also, there are other ways to monetarily support the platform. I do not take any of the money that comes in from YouTube and spend it on anything but YouTube-related things. So when people donate to the platform, it allots me to build a better area for, studio. It's a mini studio right now. It's calling it an area, but it's turning into a studio very slowly. But we are getting there because people are donating, and I appreciate you. And then as we add stuff, there will be updates on the things that we added. So you guys are directly contributing and you will directly see things start to get better around here. Those of you who have already started donating, I appreciate you. For those of you who want to, in the description is basically every way to send me some fundage, including crypto, because we love crypto. And I think that's gonna do it for today. We are going into Bag Fumble Friday. I hope some of you stop by for the live this evening. Definitely turn all the notifications on and set it to all. I'm not normally spamming notifications. It's just going to let you know when I do my community posts, which normally I am not doing over 1 a day of those because I don't want to annoy people. But community posts, it also will notify you when I'm on a panel and post that panel. So that way you can come check me out on some of the other channels and streams that I am a part of. Also, the email, if you want to collab or would like me on your panel, that is a great way to get a hold of me. It's just me over here, so if you touch base with me on any of my socials, it is me. So you're not getting an answer from somebody else. You are getting an answer from me. I am documenting the journey. I am not rich yet, so I can't afford an assistant. So it's just me answering all the emails, all the DMs, all the fun stuff. So in the description, there is a link tree that has all my socials on it. You can tap into that. 90% of those things, I don't think 100% of those things, go to me and I'll answer them. with that said, we're going into Bag Fortification Friday because we don't fumble bags around here. Remember, we're wild dogs, 80%. Fortify those bags tomorrow, people. The decisions that you're making right now are the building blocks, and even if you're just starting, this is the start of your journey to wealth and prosperity. This is your boy, Reckless Ray Dinero, and I'm signing out. Peace.